Hey, what's happening everybody? Welcome back to Anime Casuals. I am Lucky, and today we're talking about a show that really surprised me this summer, which was Remake Our Life. The thing that drew me to this anime was actually a bit depressing, but we'll get into that once I explain a bit of the story, and before we get into it, there will be minor spoilers, but nothing really major. We start off in the year 2016 with our main character, Kiyoya Hashiba, a former director of a game company. However, due to the poor management skills behind the scenes of the company, he wasn't very successful and moved back into his parents' home at the age of 28. He does spark up some good fortune, however, when he mistakenly thinks that a young woman is trying to jump off a bridge, and when she ends up explaining that she is a game project planner and needs somebody with exactly Kiyoya's skills, he ends up getting a job at her company. However, just like his previous endeavors, this was all for naught. And when he goes to sleep that night after drifting into despair, he wakes up 10 years before, which begins Kiyoya's new journey. He ends up going to the school he actually wanted to go to, and ends up boarding with 3 people who he finds out he knows in the future as a famous trio of prodigies. As we go through the story, we start to see that Kiyoya's knowledge from the future helps him immensely, as he's able to do things like improvise on the spot, as well as negotiate with people. But all this comes at a cost when Kiyoya realizes as his future gets brighter, other people's futures become dimmer. Now, going back to what got me into this anime, it's super relatable to me. I mean, not to play the whole woe is me card, but at the time of this video, I'm 28, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and when I'm in the pits of despair, I begin to think that if I knew then what I know now, I would be a totally different person. I think we can all relate to the idea of wanting to go back and changing something from our past, even if it's just a minor mistake. Now, despite the fact that this sounds very gloomy, I took this more as an inspiration in that it makes you realize that you should make the most of what you can do now, mistakes and all, because those experiences will come in handy with dealing with the future, even if you can't go back in time. It's never too late to change your life. You know, a random thought that I had was, with the prevalence of isekais, and you might be thinking, well, Lucky, why are you bringing up isekais? This has nothing to do with isekais. He doesn't go to another world. There isn't some crazy fantasy element to this. But if you think about one of the main premises of isekais, it actually does come into play here, which is the idea of a huge second chance with the knowledge that you've gained through your own experience, through your own world. And in Kiyoya's case, it would be in his time. It's also the idea of someone who is a loser in their world going to a different world and becoming a hero. But in this anime, even though Kiyoya doesn't go to a different world, he does begin to become the person he wanted to be all along. I just appreciate the fact that even though time travel is a pretty overused trope, isekais in the anime industry are very overused. I'm not throwing shade at isekais. In fact, some of my favorite anime are isekais. But for this anime to use time travel as a second chance, to me, was a great idea. Now, looking at the supporting characters, we have Aki Shino, an aspiring artist, Nanako Kogure, an aspiring actress, and Tsurayuki Rokuonji, an aspiring writer. And these characters' relationship with Koya is what drives the anime, and which serve as the conflict of the story. You see, these 3 characters were already famous and well respected in their fields by the time Kiyoya was a failed game director. So him being inserted into their group gives some spice to the plot, and seeing each of their motivations for what they do is also very unique to each one of them. So whenever you go into each one of their backstories, what got them into their field, and I don't want to spoil too much, however, Nanako's evolution was really fun to see. Also, going back to the girl that we met on the bridge when Kiyoya was in the future, Eiko Kawasegawa is actually at the same university and offers herself in a similar fashion as the future, as someone who helps him plan things out, as well as someone who will listen to his problems. And I think that's something that's very important in all of anime, is the chemistry between all of the characters, and they all blend together very, very smoothly. Now, you might be thinking, well, is this going to have some convoluted time traveling plot? It may, but the season did end with a little bit of a cliffhanger, so I'm willing to give it a chance. And even though they didn't really explain too much of the time travel, they did explain kind of a trigger for it. We'll see what they do with the second season, which I'm super hyped for. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and don't forget to let us know in the comments down below what you thought of this season. As always, guys, don't forget to keep it casual.